So now we're going to learn about structs. And a struct is a data structure. That's where we get the name struct, data structure. A struct is a data structure which allows us to compose together values of different types. So it's an aggregate data type. We could also say it's an aggregate data type. It aggregates together values of a different type. So let me just show you how that works, and then we'll revisit this definition and it'll make a little bit more sense. So we just go type, and then we give it a name. We just create a name, an identifier, and the underlying type is struct. And then we do curly braces, and we're just going to put some fields in here. First is going to be a string, last is going to be a string, and then I think that's good. First and last. And then we can come down here and we can create values of that type. This is a user-defined type. The type is person. The underlying type is struct. So now we're going to create values of that type. And so to use a composite literal, we're going to use the type and then curly braces. And so person 1 is going to be, their first name will be James. And then their last name will be Bond. And then we could do person 2. Well, I guess I'll just type it out. P2 colon equals person, the type, and then the curly braces for a composite literal. Their first name is Miss, and their last name is Moneypenny. And you have to have that trailing comma there, and that is the preferred method for creating a value of type person, a value where the underlying type is a struct. You initialize each field on its own line. So now I could print those out. Value P1, value P2, and if I run that, I'm going to see I've created values of type person, and they have fields in there. I could even access those with dot notation, so I could do P1 dot first, P1 dot last, and P2 dot first, and P2 dot last. And I could access those fields with dot notation. So if that looks a lot like an object to you, or a class, where we created something and then we created instances of it, that's a good approximation. I don't want to use those words. We don't use those words in Go. We don't say object. We don't say class. We say we've created a value of type, right? So this is a type person, and now we've created a value of type person. So here we created the value of type person, and we assigned it to the variable P1. So you create values of a certain type. So that's the first introduction to creating a struct, and that's how structs are used. And they allow you to aggregate together values of different types. So we put in different values in here, right? Different fields, different types. We could do age if we wanted. So I could come up here and do age int, and I could come down here and I could do age and add in, 32, and I could do age here and add in 27, and then I could print out their ages if I wanted. So it's putting together, aggregating together, composing together values of different types. That's what a struct allows us to do, create a data structure with values of different types. So this is known as a composite data structure. We're composing together values of a different type. It can also be referred to as an aggregate data structure or a complex data structure. And so I have all of that right here. A struct is a composite data type. Composite data types, aka aggregate data types, also known as aka, and aka complex data types. Structs allow us to compose together values of a different type. So that's your first step to understanding structs.